Hi, I'm Dawn Ennis. Thank you for rising up. We're back with a new episode, and we're back wearing masks. You know, ever since the positivity rate has increased, it's gone up. It's the highest it's been since spring. And all we need are people to get masked, get vaccinated, to hopefully bring the coronavirus positivity rate down. If we're going to get out of this mess, we need everybody to get on board. Unless, of course, you've got a legitimate religious or medical exemption. If not, we risk another horrible fall and winter. All right, how about some good news? Here's something else going up. Salaries for part-time faculty and adjunct professors at the University of Hartford. I was part of the union negotiating committee that won a 3-year collective bargaining agreement which raises average per credit and hourly rates by 9.1%. Hopefully, members will vote to ratify that contract. Speaking of voting, West Hartford has a municipal election coming up. On our last episode, I introduced you to members of a Connecticut party.
It's 3 white men and a white woman there, is that we have a large number of people behind the scenes right now working on the campaign that are diverse, whether they are African American, they are female, and we want to open it up to a lot of other people to come in and help with ideas. So we're not excluding anybody, but what I like about what we've created so far as a team behind the scenes is that diversity. I know you don't see it because you got the 4 of us out front, but I guess there's a lot of people behind this that is looking at age-wise too as well. We've got a lot of demographics, whether it's 20, 25-year-olds all the way up to folks that are in their 60s that are wanting to help and being active with us.
That's great.
So which doesn't tell the whole story because you don't see it, but we have a lot of those folks now helping, wanting us to move forward as a slate.
And tell me, is there a chance that they might unseat our existing Democratic town councilors and the Republicans too? Let's talk to Liam Sweeney. He's a lifelong resident of West Hartford. He's a husband and a dad and a principal at Penn Lincoln Strategies, a government relations and strategic communications firm. He's running for re-election as a Democrat on the town council, having served since 2017. Welcome, Liam.
Dawn, thank you for having me.
You okay with the handshake? Is that all right?
I'm okay with it, yeah.
Fully vaccinated?
I'm fully vaccinated.
You are too. I invited all members of the West Hartford Democratic Town Committee, which I am an alternate member. I invited them all, but given the timing and everything else, and let's face it, people are busy, Liam was the one who was volunteering to step up and be representative of your platform. So let's talk first about, why are you running? You've been on the town council since 2017. Are you bored? Are you tired? Is it ready? Are you ready for something different?
These are questions that I get asked at home. Look, it's been an honor to serve on the council, having been born and raised in West Hartford, and I think the last couple of years have been obviously very difficult on everyone else. But I think through that time, at least for me, it really kind of got a better look on how important local government is and how essential it is, particularly during a global pandemic. And there's a couple of things that I really would like to see through. And one of those things that we just had pushed through or started is the expansion or development of a state-of-the-art community center. And I think we started seeing that thanks to the governor and our state delegation and Mayor Cantor's leadership and the staff here for identifying St. Bridget's. I think some folks saw that the town has recently acquired the St. Bridget's property. And what we're really hoping there is to centralize some of our community and human services there as it backs up into Beachland. And that's been a big focus of mine since I started as someone who grew up here and kind of commuted both sides of the town. One of the things that we really didn't have was a really active and vibrant community center. Well, no shame on Elmwood.
Elmwood's a great place.
As someone who went to daycare and after-school programming there, it really isn't. It's an old school. It's not. It's over 100 years old now.
Wow.
And it's time for us to really invest in our kids. Is I think what we saw during the pandemic is that we really didn't have a place for them. And what we currently have right now is the teen center, basically in a janitor's closet over there, and that's not something that I personally want to see, and I want to see us develop that. And I know that the mayor and the Democratic slate really are supportive of this, and we're really excited. And shout out to Derek Slapp, Kay Farrar,
State Senator, yeah.
our
and
state senator, Kay
Representative.
Farrar, Jillian Gilchrist, Tammy, and the
Timmy
whole
Fine, yeah.
the whole team
Timmy Exum, yep.
really pushed forward on the bonding at the state level to get that, and that's really going to be helpful in the long run.
Now, I mentioned that you're a dad. Your daughter's name is Claire, and Rory is your son. They're just barely getting into school age stuff, but are you going to send them to West Hartford Public Schools? I asked because, would you believe I didn't ask the Connecticut Party representatives where they send their kids to school, and I found out after the episode all their kids go to private schools. So I think that's relevant. Are you sending your children to public school?
Yeah, absolutely. No, one of my day job is I lobby on behalf of educational advocacy organizations, and so I'm a huge believer in public school system. I'm a product.
You're a product of one.
I'm a
right?
product of it. I actually live down the street from Morley School where I went. And right now my kids are taking advantage of the great choice programs that we have in the region, and are now at Noah Webster for pre-K, and I'm hoping to be able to move them both over to Morley at the right time, just to make sure that they all move over at the right spot. But they're currently in public schools that the region participate in, and I'm hoping to have them down the street so they can be easier for mom and dad for pickup and drop off.
Well, I also sent my children to West Hartford Public Schools. My late wife was a teacher at Sedgwick and at KP, King Philip, and I believe in our West Hartford Public Schools. My youngest is now a rising sophomore at Hall High School, and I will say that it's important, if you're going to talk about our schools, to be invested in them. What do you think of this proposal by a Connecticut party to tear down both Conard and Hall and build a new high school near Cornerstone?
Respectfully, I think it's a garbage plan. We have two of the best high schools in the state, year after year, and it's actually why our community is so well sought after, and we saw a significant spike in real estate purchases here. That's what people are here for. That's what we make the investment, and that's one of my top priorities, is to continue to ensure that when we put together a budget, we're funding our schools. Again, as a product of it, and as someone who went through and took advantage of, and I grew up with a learning disability, like being able to have my parents rely on that network that was there is something that I take very personally into heart. And the idea that we would tear them down just seems one, foolish, and also silly. It's just a silly idea. But I respect Lee and Rick, and I don't know the other two members. Oh, and Mark Merritt. I respect that they have a different opinion on it, but I don't know why you would do it.
Money, it seems like they're going to sell that property and make a lot of money for the town.
Well, I guess that'd be great to hear and see how the numbers on that. But those are some of the most important things that we have in our community, and I don't know why. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, sort of thing.
Now, you mentioned a learning disability. We had Governor Malloy on a couple of years ago. He said he had to go through college dyslexic with books on tape, and it was quite a challenge. What was your learning disability? How did you overcome it?
I was also dyslexic, but not at the same to the extremes that he had. And he was a big hero of mine for kind of being outspoken about it and talking about the struggles that you have. When you have a learning disability and you're 8 years old or 10, the frustration is it's high, and it takes both teachers and parents to really get you through it. And it took me a while to kind of develop kind of a presence at school, but once I was able to do that, and because I had great teachers, Elizabeth Devine, Liz Devine, who everyone knows from.
Sure.
From the Witness Stones project here in town, was like the teacher where the light bulb went on for me. And so there's just so many other great teachers that made that happen in this public school system. And again, the idea that you would want to centralize them. We have let's just go back to that. We have two high schools that are double L, or about 1,500 kids. So we want to create the largest high school in the state. where that exists, and I think is in New Britain, no offense to New Britain, but I think New Britain's high school is also the lowest performing high school in the state.
Well, it's all about resources, right? You know, I want to also make a correction. I talked to Principal Zatoon at Hall High School after the last episode, and I made a misstatement. I based on anecdotal evidence that Hall was the less diverse of the two high schools, that Conard had a greater diversity. And it turns out Hall is the one that has a greater population of blacks, of brown, of people who are of color. And I think that's great that the schools are becoming more aware and more accountable to those most marginalized among us. You're in a position which, you know, let's face it, you're a white Irish guy.
Yeah.
I'm a white Irish girl. And when I talked to a Connecticut party, I asked them, you're not very diverse. It's all white cisgender folks.
Yeah.
Now, I know nobody has any transgender candidates, but if you look at a picture here, your row A is full of diversity between having an even number of women and having people of color. Can you tell me why that's important?
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, it's a personal issue. As I was talking about, the work that I do professionally is on educational equity work, and you know, I've been kind of brought up in the idea of, you know, diversity makes things better, right? That's from my parents on up. That's how I was raised, and I think that with the town, I think we just saw this in the new information that came out with the census, is that the town has grown more diverse, and that's a fantastic thing. And I think that our leadership needs to represent that in order to inspire new leadership and so on and so forth. And so it's really great to see. I'm really glad to have Adrian Billing-Smith, who has been a leader here in the town and a strong leader at that, join the team. She last year she reached out to me an email. I'd never even met her before, and she wanted to put together the Juneteenth event, and you know, I picked up the call, and away she went.
And in a couple of weeks, you got that thing done.
It was
in 2020.
Yeah, it was great working with her. Again, as the white guy in that conversation, I was just literally there to help kind of move the ball down the field and let everyone else kind of worry about the details of it.
We had the dedication of the green.
Yes.
Unity Green.
Yeah, and that's another great example of the town. I think that comes from having diversity in your leadership, right? And if you don't have that conversation internally, you're not having these events take place. Mm-hmm. And so that's a real reason why you should have that. That's why you should continue to do that. I mean, you see that within our public school system, we're trying to do that. I think we have a long way to go there in regards to having a minority teacher. Mm-hmm. That's a big thing that I've also worked on professionally, and that's something that we just generally need to do a better job of. But
I will challenge you though, because our population of Latinos and Hispanics in West Hartford is larger than the people of color who identify as Black or African American. Yeah. And your committee doesn't really have someone put forward as in that category, and it's showing. And I'm wondering, what will you do to help the Latino and Hispanic community be represented?
Well, there are a bunch of folks that I've worked with, particularly on our town committee, to actually encourage them to run. Unfortunately, some of them were unable to do that this time. Mm-hmm. So it's not lost on me that needs to be done. I know that this is a top priority for the mayor as well. And I know it's a top priority for our town committee. I just think that in some cases, you look to recruit folks, and then, sometimes this is a volunteer job.
I was going to say, this is not exactly a money-making opportunity for you.
And so sometimes it works out, and sometimes it doesn't. I think that there are some folks that are looking to get more engaged, and I think as the town committee and as the council, we look to further engage.
I'm so happy to be a part of this with Leon and Ben, wherever he went. Thank you, John over here, Carol, Lorna, Jason.
Ace, we are so excited for you to be on this team that has proven themselves many, many years now, and during the face of some significant challenges. So you've been embraced like a family member, so welcome to the family. And Beth Kerrigan was a true trailblazer, and those are some big shoes to fill. So thank you, and thank you for joining the club.
Thank you. And a big care about that.
Full disclosure, I was the second West Hartford Democrat to endorse Liam for the position he's running for as re-election, and I was proud to do so. And when I did so, I mentioned that of all the people I know in town government, if I need an instant answer, if I need a response, if I can't wait, if I need someone to say, hey, I got you, it's Liam Sweeney.
Well, thank you, Dawn.
It's true. And I mentioned this at West Hartford Pride, which I was so grateful that you and your family showed up to support and be allies at West Hartford Pride. And what was really wonderful was meeting your wife and children and being able to boast to her that of all the people I know, you're the one who always responds, who always gets it. And I'm not the only one who says so.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for my family, Pride is a big event. So my sister is bisexual and actually was married to a woman at one point. But so it's a personal issue for my family that, you know, to support everyone. You know, it's something how I was raised, is that we accept everyone and try to. It's just how I am.
I got a feeling that you'd be supportive even if your sister wasn't bi.
For sure, but it's like I said, it's less about being supportive. It's more about being personal and knowing that the reason for you know, Pride is to celebrate and also to demonstrate that there's community support there. And from my family, it's important that we be present for that. Yep.
I want people, no matter Democrats or Republicans or a Connecticut party, to be more active in our community. Tell me about why you do this, because you mentioned before, it's volunteer.
Yeah.
You've got children to raise, a job to do, a mortgage to pay for. Why be involved in politics at all, especially in this very divisive time?
Well, when I first decided to run for council, it was really because I really didn't feel comfortable with the way that our party was going. I felt that it was a little stuck in the mud. And while I'm like not physically the demonstration of diversity and change thought, like but that is how I look at the world. And so I felt that we needed a little bit of a push. I think, you know, I immediately brought some diversity in the sense I brought an average age drop on the council.
Because you're 29.
Yes, exactly, 29. But I mean, it's important that you know that we have that age thought, particularly with who we're looking to recruit to come to town, which is my demographic of people of my age, of, you know, the 30-something looking to raise kids, and so that was why I got involved, and I also, one of the other big goals was to do what we're doing now, and is to recruit more diversity to the council, to the town committee. And I think that's something that I've helped do. I know, along with Mayor Cantor, has also been constantly looking for new ways to get people involved. I think that over the time that I've been on the council, we've seen a big shift in the age demographic and just the demographics of our town committee, which I know that you were also a big leader on and appreciated the push.
I tried. I don't want to necessarily run for anything. I just want to say I want a voice, and I want people like me to have a voice.
Yeah, and I think that it's been great. Like, I think that, you know, I come from coming up in politics of primaries. I worked a lot in.
You worked with Senator Dodd.
Yeah, and I worked in the city of Hartford on a bunch of campaigns.
That's right.
And so when people started talking about primaries in West Hartford, to me, I just was like, you know, this is just natural selection at this point. You're going to figure itself out.
Yes.
And it's part of the process. So.
But let me ask you. You've been dealing with the party of no for 3 years now, going on 4 years now. You have a Connecticut party. Are you personally worried? Is the committee worried? Are you able to tackle the party of no?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think I think this last 2 years, if the folks at West Hartford have not seen that our team has demonstrated a significant ability to lead, and, you know, then that's on us that we haven't been able to communicate that. But I think what we've seen over the last 2 years is, one, a leadership led by Mayor Cantor really take the bull by the horns during the most challenging time that our community has seen in 100 years. And that was immediately, we took action on providing assistance to the restaurants, which is
During COVID, yeah.
yeah, which is the central part of our downtown area, and we went right to work. And then other communities followed suit. I think we saw this with the leadership from our schools, which we helped support. Took the lead on, doing, remote learning and masking up. We saw this again just recently with Tom Moore taking the lead on this.
Hats off to Tom Moore.
Yeah.
I mean, what a great job he did leading us during the whole Board of Ed.
Right, and I think again, we've done our very best to keep the town affordable, while also understanding that we have a changing demographic and we have new needs that we need to accommodate. And I think that we've taken significant steps to do that. Whether recently we just went out for bonding to remove some of the significant debt that was handed down to us from the Party of No, if you would like to say, from several years ago. And that's kudos again to Sherry, for the Mayor Cantor, for thinking about that. That's so long-term thinking. Mm-hmm. Those are some of the big items that we've done. And then I think also during the pandemic, we opened up the doors here, not physically, like through a video. Mm-hmm. We were, I particularly led Human Community Services, where we had conversations. We were having tough conversations on what was going on, whether it be the COVID, on how kids are being impacted, how the
racial tension,
that was taking place throughout the summer. We had leaders of the Black Lives Movement talking to us. We had teenagers that are leading. I participated in an event with Representative Gilchrist with Senator Murphy, talking about what kids can be doing. We brought the bridge in to talk about how can we help them, and I think that by having that constant conversation was really important. We also made sure that just recently have had a conversation with the small business owners and the Elmwood Business Association about the recent kind of tragic events that have taken place.
Yeah.
And I think for me, I'm not afraid to have a conversation with people because I know what we're doing is the right thing. If people have suggestions, we're wide open.
Well, where do you stand on things like defund the police? We've got a civilian police review board now.
Yeah.
Do you think the police department should divert resources?
No, I think that the defund the police is something that I'm not really quite sure what the goal is there. Mm-hmm. I think that if anything, what we're seeing now is that quite the opposite. People now with throughout the country, we're seeing a significant uptick in violent crime. Well, I think what we're seeing across the country is a tick lower on overall crime, mm-hmm. but violent crime we're seeing
it's not far away.
No, we're seeing in the city of Hartford having a really, really difficult year.
Yes.
And that obviously we can't.
We're in their backyard.
Yeah, we can't act like there's a wall that people would like to say between the two. We're one community, or one state, one county.
Nobody respects the border. If they're going to commit a crime,
right.
They might just spill over here.
And so I think
what do you do?
I think we have a great chief who's really done, been a really good communicator through this. I think during the height of the tension between police and the community, he spoke at the Black Lives Matter movement at the town, right here in the town hall steps, and really went right at it, talked about his own personal experiences as a black man being pulled over.
In my last question, I want to ask you about something that Lee Gold mentioned. He said he's been getting a lot of phone calls about people begging on corners.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've seen it. I know I've seen it. And I don't know what to think of it.
Yeah.
What do you think of it?
I mean, it's funny. Not funny that you say that, but I actually was driving with my son this morning, and we had that question as a parent, and he's like, what's that man doing over there? And I said, he doesn't have a home. He goes, where does he live? I said, I don't know. And I think that that's kind of the approach I'd rather take as how can we help, right? Like, I understand that some people feel really uncomfortable, and I've been there. Like,
mm-hmm. I think people think that might be coordinated or that's some kind of scam going on.
Sure. I mean, like, this is the problem. There's the First Amendment here
yes.
in the United
yes.
States, and that people have the right to stand on those corners and ask for it. But I think what we should be better asking ourselves is, why are they there and how can we help them? And I know that the town has really taken, and this is one of the things that Mayor Cantor did a really great job on, is coordinating both our human services and our police to figure out, one, engage with them, give them opportunity to go do something. I think
Provide resources.
Yeah, and I know that Lee Gold and I have talked about this, and he has actually some great ideas about potentially finding them some work and getting them the help that they need to help themselves. And I think that's a really great idea, and I'd be really open to that.
So no matter who wins,
Yeah.
and I'm sure you want to win,
Yes.
are you ready to work on the other side? Ready to work with the other side?
Oh
matter
yeah,
who
no.
it is?
It's funny. Rick was my basketball coach at Hull, so we can go hoop it up right now. So, I was a captain of the Hull basketball team, a galaxy far, far away.
Well, I think that as captain of the Democrats, I wish you the very best. I can't do more than say that I like you as a person, and I'm so glad you were able to come here and share your thoughts with our viewers.
Well, thank you for having me, Dawn. Really appreciate it, and glad that this show is doing so well, and
We're trying.
happy to be back anytime.
All right. So you'll find links to the West Hartford Democrats on RiseUpWithDawn.com, plus links to earlier episodes with many of the guests who have been here that Liam mentioned. So send me your comments, tell me who you want to see on the show next time, and we'll be back in the fall. Until then, please rise up, wear your mask, and get vaccinated. I'm Dawn Ennis. Have a great rest of your summer. Thank you, Liam.
Thank you.